Hey guys, Blue Life here, and today I'm reviewing Star Trek The Wrath of Khan on Blu-ray. And I gotta tell you, this is my favorite Star Trek film. This and First Contact, definitely, and I really think most fans would agree with me. Now, why is the film so good? Well, I think that really comes down to Nicholas Meyer, who directed the film, as well as he rewrote the initial script that they had. I think the initial script still had some of the elements that were in the film, like the Genesis device and maybe a few other things. But you know, he really added his own take on Star Trek, and I really think without the script that he turned in, we wouldn't have had any other Star Trek films. At least not any other good ones. But you know, let's get into talking about the story. Now, this is set 15 years after the Enterprise had the initial confrontation with Khan. And Kirk is still an admiral, and it's his birthday. And, you know, he's feeling old. You know, he doesn't like being an admiral. It's pretty much like he's been promoted so much that he's an admiral now and pretty much has a desk job. He wants to get back out there and, you know, get his captain's chair back. And McCoy pretty much, you know, calls him on this and says, hey, get back your command before you can't, you know. And, you know, at the same time, Chekhov, he is actually, I believe he's first officer on the USS Reliant. And what they're doing is they're scouting out different planets that might be used in the Genesis experiment. And what this Genesis is this is pretty much making life from lifelessness. It's more or less terraforming a planet to make it habitable for life. And they arrive in orbit of one planet they believe to be Ceti Alpha 6. And they find what could be life on it, so they beam down. And as it turns out, they find a small ship, and as they're exploring, Chekhov, you know, sees it has Botany Bay written on it. And even though he wasn't even in the original episode of the Star Trek series, Space Seed, where Khan was introduced, he obviously still knows that, you know, oh crap, we need to leave. And so, you know, he and the captain leave and come face to face with Khan and his band of genetically modified people. And he pretty much tells them that the planet they're on right now is Ceti Alpha 5, and Ceti Alpha 6 actually exploded like I think like 6 months, something like that, after they marooned there, and Kirk never bothered to come back and check on their progress. And you know, his wife was actually killed by one of these small little creatures that's really the only life form on the planet now. And he is just out for revenge. And so really, you know, he takes control of the Reliance, and you know, he wants to destroy Kirk at all cost. And I mean, that pretty much sets up the entire film for the big confrontation between the two. And it's actually funny that you know, the whole film builds up to this confrontation between them, and they're never in the same room with each other. It's just, you know, them, you know, on the bridge of their own ships. And you know, I just find that funny, but it's one of those things that you don't think about until after, because the movie is so engrossing that thing doesn't matter. You don't really think about it until after, and you're like, oh, I didn't even realize that. But you know, I have to say that compared to the motion picture, the story in this is much more focused, and I think the characters are more in tune with their original series incarnations. Now, in my review of the motion picture, I did mention that, you know, one of the big arguments I've heard, at least, for the motion picture is that the characters weren't really themselves. They didn't have a lot of character moments. Um, which I believe that they actually did have scenes with those, but they cut them for the film. And you know, that was because they were trying to do a different type of film. It was more of an epic film, so it was more story than character based. While in The Wrath of Khan, this is much more character based, and it's all the better for it. You really feel like the characters are being looked at in a fresh light now, and more, really more like their original series counterparts. And I mean, the story is just very, very well written, and the acting is very good as well. So you know, I'm going to go ahead and give you know, before I do that, let's talk about Kirstie Alley is in this film as a Vulcan, and she does a surprisingly good performance in this. You know, thinking about it now, you're like, Kirstie Alley as a Vulcan? What? But you know, it actually works. And of course, you know, all the original series cast is back, and they do a very good job. Leonard Nimoy does a great job of Spock, and I think William Shatner, I think this is probably his best performance in all the Star Trek films, especially at the end. I really love his response to his friend's death. But this is a very good Star Trek film. I would say probably even if you're not a huge Star Trek fan or never really seen Star Trek film, this is a good place to start. It's as I said, it's a really good film, a great story. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the story an A+. You know, I might be biased because I'm a huge Star Trek fan, but I really love the story in this. So A+ for that. Now the picture quality. You know, a lot of people complained that The Wrath of Khan was the only film in the series that was actually digitally restored in high def, as all the other ones were just remastered. I guess restoration is supposed to give a better picture quality, but in my opinion, I didn't really notice a considerable difference. I mean, there's still a nice amount of detail. The colors were good. Not a whole lot of grain, just a little bit here and there. And still, you know, softness crept in occasionally. So, you know, I'm going to have to go with the same grade I gave the motion picture, a C+. Now, this is my favorite part, the special features. Now, on The Wrath of Khan, you get quite a few special features. You get more or less everything from the original DVD release, just minus a few things. You don't get the director's cut. You do get the commentary on it, but it's an edited commentary to fit the theatrical version. So you do get that commentary by Nicholas Meyer. You do get Captain's Log, which is a making of featurette of the film. Designing Khan. You get original interviews, where no man has gone before, the visual effects of Star Trek II. This is what ILM staffers discuss the use of the early CGIs and the model building. You get another featurette, A Novel Approach. This is actually a pretty cool featurette about features, I think, two novelists that have written quite a few Star Trek films, and so it's a pretty interesting featurette. You get storyboards and theatrical trailer, which is in HD. Now, for the Blu-ray exclusive ones, you get an audio commentary by Nicholas Meyer and Manny Coto. And I think this has this is more of a light-hearted commentary, where Manny Coto pretty much just praises everything Nicholas Meyer does. But you know, it's still a decent commentary, and you do get a nice just a nice overview of some of the themes of the film from Nicholas Meyer. So pretty good commentary on that. You get a library computer. Of course, this is on all of the Star Trek Blu-rays, and this is kind of you can actually set this up as kind of like a pop-up track that'll, if they mention something like warp speed, it'll come up and give you a definition of what that means. So, yeah, a neat little extra. You get James Horner composing Genesis. And, I mean, that he was a composer of the film. Great score on this film, by the way, if I forgot to mention. I really like the score. And, actually, speaking of the score, it was actually used in the game Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which I remember playing back in the day. You also get collecting Star Trek's movie relics. That's a pretty cool featurette. It's about some props. You also get another of the Starfleet Academy SciSec briefs, talking about SETI Alpha 6, which is kind of neat. It's just a bit of fluff. And then you get a tribute to Ricardo Montalban, or however you say his last name. Just a really, really good actor, and did a great job in this film. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. And of course, you also get the Star Trek IQ, which is only available through BD Live, where you can make your own quizzes and take your own and take other people's quizzes. So, neat little feature. So you know, nice supplement package. Yeah, it would have been nice to have the director's cut, but still nice. Maybe sometime in the future they'll re-release it. So, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and give a B+ for the special features, which brings the overall score for Star Trek The Wrath of Khan to a B+. Till next time, guys.